So when I go around town, people ask me, what do you do? It's a very common question. And so I say, I'm an Orthodox priest. And they look at me and their first reaction is, you mean you're Jewish? And I say, no, I'm Greek Orthodox. And they say, oh, okay, so you're Greek. And my response is, no. So after people find out that I'm a Greek Orthodox priest, they often assume naturally that I'm Greek background, but I'm not. I'm actually English and Irish, a sixth generation Iowan and a ninth generation American. And so it always kind of takes people back, and they always ask, so how did you become Greek Orthodox? And it's actually a long story, but I can tell it in brief. Basically what happened was when I was in college as an undergrad, my first year as a freshman was the year that 9/11 happened. And I had been in school about 2 weeks, and I had gone from my small town in Iowa to Minneapolis for school. And after 9/11 happened, it shook all of us, everyone in my dorm, all of us who were away from home for the first time. And I remember I said to my friends, everyone on the hall, I said, let's go to church. And they actually all agreed. Even the Hindu guy came to church with us that Sunday after 9/11. And the church I went to was very different from the church I had grown up in. And I'd always been aware that there were differences between denominations, but this church that we'd gone to in Minneapolis was the same denomination that I'd grown up in, and it was very different theologically. And so I wondered, if Christ started a church in the first century, what happened to it? How can there be so many different opinions and varieties and denominations? What happened to that one church that Christ and his apostles started? And so when I was in college, I kind of quit church. I still considered myself a Christian, whatever that means, apart from a congregation, but I didn't go to church. And so I spent the next couple years of my college career, I was studying archaeology at the time, and I ended up spending time in Greece on an archaeological excavation. And I spent 2 summers there. And of course in Greece you're either stumbling over the ancient ruins, or you're stumbling over the Orthodox churches. I mean, they're everywhere. And I kind of thought to myself, what is this Orthodox thing? You don't see that very often in America. What is it? And so I came back, it was my last year in college, and I decided to join the OCF, the Orthodox Christian Fellowship, which is the national college ministry for Orthodox Christians. And there, after my first session, who is a lovely priest that begged me to come back and not just make this a one-time thing. But after my first session, the gentleman that would become my godfather said, you can't just learn about Orthodoxy, you have to experience it. And so he took me to the local Russian church, where I eventually converted to Orthodoxy. What I saw around me was magnificent. The beauty of the services, the chanting, the music, the iconography, the theology. What I was seeing in the Orthodox Church was the sort of Christianity I had learned about at the university for those early Christians. So I ended up converting in that Russian church. I had to go to Greece to come back to America to convert in the Russian church. And then eventually I went on to seminary and found my way here in the Greek Archdiocese, where I've met a lot of lovely people and some beautiful parishes. But Orthodoxy is something that we as Orthodox Christians have, that's a jewel. It is really a jewel of America, but unfortunately it's hidden. We as Orthodox Christians often emphasize the culture or the language or these sorts of things rather than the gospel itself. But yet we have the fullness of the gospel, and we can articulate it very well. We just oftentimes don't do that. The culture often is like a cup that holds the water being the gospel message. And we as Orthodox Christians need to learn how to share the water and share that jewel and get past some of our own hang-ups about buildings and all those sorts of things. We need to learn how to support our churches rather than depending on festivals, especially now with the current crisis, support our own churches and spread the message of Jesus Christ, which is what we're called to do. It's what Jesus, at the end of Matthew, tells his disciples, go out and baptize all nations. And so we need to learn how to do that, because if we don't, it can be devastating. So I have a family member who still lives in Iowa, and there's no Orthodox church there. And I remember once getting a phone call from this person, and they had been studying about Orthodoxy, but obviously could not attend a church because there wasn't one there. And so the call came in, and they said, I can't do it anymore. And I said, what can't you do? And they said, I can't be any other Christian other than Orthodox, but there's no Orthodox church here. And this question has haunted me to this day. So they ended the conversation by saying, has God abandoned me here in Iowa? And so it was after that that I went to seminary and became a priest. But we, all of us as Orthodox Christians, have a mission to spread our faith in the good news about Jesus Christ. So I pray that during this Paschal season, that the message of Christ is risen goes out to everyone, and that you continue to support your church, and that so that we can fulfill the mission that's given to us by Christ himself.